When I was a kid, I loved television shows about magic. Maybe some of you remember them too. Bewitched, Samantha could change the world with a twitch of her nose. I Dream of Jeannie, one blink of her eyes and reality rearranged itself. I remember wishing I had that kind of magic, the ability to wave a magic wand and instantly make things better. But if you remember those shows, the magic never quite worked out the way it was supposed to. Something unexpected always happened. The spell went wrong, the plan backfired. And that's when the comedy started. I sometimes wonder if that's how we imagine miracles. Today's gospel tells the story of Jesus feeding 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. It can sound like magic, bread appearing out of nowhere, food multiplying in baskets. But the deeper miracle may not be supernatural bread. It could be what happened within, among, and between the people. What we know about the story is simple. They began with 5 loaves and 2 fish, and somehow they ended up with 12 baskets left over. We don't know much about what happened in between. One thing we do know is that Jesus asked the crowd to sit down in groups. Before anything else happened, the people were organized. They became a community instead of a crowd, and that matters. Crowds are anonymous. Communities notice who is hungry. Throughout history, things that once seemed miraculous eventually turned out to be natural processes we didn't yet understand. Sometimes what we call a miracle is simply something we don't know how it works. Think about something as simple as washing our hands. In the 1800s, when one doctor suggested that physicians wash their hands between patients, many of his colleagues thought the idea was ridiculous. They couldn't see germs, so they didn't believe they were there. Today, we know that invisible organisms can spread disease. Something that once seemed mysterious now seems obvious. Maybe something like that happened in this story. Maybe what looks like magic is really the power of generosity moving through a crowd. Sometimes the miracle isn't a violation of nature. Sometimes the miracle is the activation of our nature. Compassion, generosity, courage, these may be the most powerful forces we have. And when those forces move through a community, things that once seemed impossible begin to happen. Notice what Jesus actually asks in this story. He doesn't ask the disciples to solve the entire problem. He asks, "What do you have?" Not what you wish you had, not what would make this easier, simply, what do you have? That's a hard question for us because we're used to seeing the world through the lens of scarcity. Not enough time, not enough resources, not enough power. But Jesus doesn't start with scarcity. He starts with what is already present. And 5,000 people were fed. But the bread moved through human hands before it reached human mouths. Someone offered what they had. Maybe the miracle began when one small lunch appeared. And maybe it was completed when hearts opened and picnic baskets opened, and suddenly there was more than enough. Once generosity begins, it spreads. We still see this happen today whenever people refuse to let scarcity have the last word. Imagine this. In Minneapolis recently, when immigration raids began happening in neighborhoods, people saw their neighbors living in fear. Some were afraid to leave their homes to buy food. Some were detained and released in the middle of the night without coats, without phones, without any way to get home, standing on a sidewalk in the cold with nowhere to go. And neighbors responded. Some brought groceries to families who were afraid to go outside. Some people stayed awake through the night, keeping watch in the bitter cold, ready to help anyone who was released and stranded. Some offered rides. Some offered warm clothes. Some offered a phone so someone could call their family. No one person solved the whole problem, but people offered what they had. And when they did, something remarkable happened. Neighbors took care of neighbors. And suddenly there was more courage, more safety, more hope than any one person could have created alone. It's not so different from that hillside long ago when people discovered that what they had shared together could become enough. The miracle didn't stop 2,000 years ago. It still happens whenever people open what they have and share it. Sometimes I still wish I could wave a magic wand and change the world. But the truth is, if I could instantly change everything from the outside, I'm not sure I would. Because when everything is handed to us, we don't grow. We don't discover what we're capable of. We aren't changed. The real miracle isn't something done for us. The real miracle is what happens within us. If you can write postcards, write letters, encourage someone who needs hope. If you can speak, share your story, tell your truth. If you can listen, offer a safe place for someone to grieve or struggle. If you can knit, join the craftivism movement. If you can pray. If you can march. The miracle is not magic. The miracle is our participation. When the meal was complete, there were 12 baskets left over. The miracle didn't end with survival. It ended with abundance. That's what can happen when people bring what they have and trust that together, with each other, and with the power of the divine, it will be enough. And here's a detail I love about this story. Those 12 baskets didn't stay on the hillside. They ended up in the hands of the disciples. The miracle kept moving through them. And maybe that's still how it works. When I was a child, I wished I could wave a magic wand and change the world. But now I see there's something different. The miracle isn't out there somewhere. The miracle is in us. When we bring what we have, when we share what we have, when we work in partnership with the divine love that moves through the world. That is how the world changes. That is how we grow more love. Amen.